Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Revenue Revolution Masterclass Workshop. What else did I call it? The third word hasn't been consistent, but we're definitely revolutionizing revenue. I want to share this YouTube real quick in the Facebook group, just for fun. And then while I'm doing that, I see there's like 10-ish people here already. So just say you can hear me, say hello, say something in the chat so I know everything is working. But even before I see you do that, we are just going to like jump right in. We are live. Okay, there, I'm doing that. And I'm excited. I'm curious too, who has been to the first one of these I did. There are like some changes to the training from when I did it in, gosh, was that April or May? And we had over 200 people each time RCP. So I use the same tag for both events, but there's about 370 people RSVP'd between both events. And so that's really exciting. Okay, so let me go back to the chat here. A bunch of those. Hello, Courtney, I see you. And Claire and Benoit and Vernon and Natasha, hello. Oh, there's a bunch of people here I haven't seen on one of my lives before, so I'm so grateful to see you all. And I think I'm just going to jump right in. So I'm going to keep referring back to the chat, but tell me, I feel like I need to breathe. Just like, let me take a breath and you tell me, what are you the most excited to learn about today? What about the marketing for this event made you excited? Yeah, let's start there. I'm going to come back to the chat and I actually am going to ground and I feel like maybe we could all do this together. We're going to go 30 to 45 minutes today. So we'll go on the longer side if there's lots of questions, but I don't like to watch super long lives, so I don't do them. And I'm super excited to do this training today. So let me know what you're the most excited to learn about. And then while you're thinking about that, maybe you're typing that, I want you to breathe with me. We're going to take 2 deep breaths. So we're going to do a deep breath in and then hold it at the top. And then let it go. And we'll do one more of those. Big deep breath in. Hold. Let it out. So you have to get into soft mind. There's soft mind and there's structured mind and there's embodied awareness. And soft mind is where we can kind of like be present, be still, receive. And structured mind is like the super buzzy thinking mind that we stay in all the time. I like college mind host Melissa. I like that you're just like, why am I here for dollar signs? And I'm glad to see you here. I don't think you were on the one we did a few months ago. I see lots of chats. I still want to know what you guys want to focus on. Like what motivated you to come here today? I want to contextualize what I'm teaching for what you guys actually want to know. So why I want you to stick around today, why I want you to give me 30 to 40 minutes of your time is I've served a lot of entrepreneurs through courses, through coaching and live trainings. I say here since 2017 is when I started coaching, but I've been on teaching people on the internet since 2011. That is a very long time in internet years. I've empowered lots of coaching clients one-on-one. I used to have group programs as well who bought other programs before me, but they struggled to connect the dots between ideas to results. And also, I think that what I teach is interesting because nothing has been handed to me. I would consider myself lucky now because I intentionally manifest a lot in my life, but I would not consider myself someone where things were put in my lap very often. I'm also enjoyable to be around and I have fun hair, which I'm desperately trying to grow out, but it takes 3 inches to make a coil. So it's going to take a while to grow it out any longer, which you can't see because I hid my video because my slide had too much text. Also, is this worth your time? Is it worth 30 minutes of your time? I'm biased. I think so. But I also want you to think about how much time you've spent either learning other skills in the past on your own or how much time you've spent on this particular issue. And, whether you and I end up working together, I think you'll get a lot of mindset like tips and tricks through this training today that will give you shortcuts. And I'm obviously biased, but I also have gotten that feedback from people. I also have, and actually I think this is a little bit higher, but I'm selling you something today at the end of this. I've got a program that I launched. It was one of my most successful launches. The people who bought that program did amazing. One person in that program added $80,000 of revenue to their business. And this program is just a few $100. And so there's going to be a bunch of bonuses available for you. This is the Sage Services program, which is a course that is completed that I launched earlier this year, got some results for people. I'm relaunching it today. It's going to have 6 live calls as I relaunch it for a slightly higher price point than before, but you can start as low as 167. So this is not like an epically high program. But stay for the training even if you're not interested in all that. Our agenda for today, I'm going to be giving you the mistakes I see people making a lot. I'm going to teach you the framework for adding multiple 4 figures of recurring revenue in the next 60 days. I'm going to teach you how to make your offer stand out in what I think is a competitive and distrustful market. This is real talk. Does anybody else feel like this market is just full of trusting people? Are you a little more discerning than you were in 2020 with your investments? Real talk, anyone? I'm a slower buyer than I was back then. I think we all have some trauma. So how do we market in that environment, right? Where people don't trust us because cough, cough, bro marketers ruined it for a lot of us. And we ruined it for ourselves too. Like we had to learn how to operate in this new world. And then number 1 game changer for scaling while still enjoying your life. Because another real talk piece, and I'll just remove this. I don't have a slide on this, but I want to see your face for a second. Something else that's like, coaches have complexities in their business, bloggers have complexities in their business, but the complexities that we have as service providers, and this is true for coaches, but for people who are offering services, we have complexities that other people don't have. In fact, a lot of coaches will tell you not to do a service-based business because they're like, it's hard to scale. You have a lot of overhead. You've got to have team members. But I have introduced a really abundant amount of super consistent recurring revenue. And I'm really passionate about services. So I'm very pro services, but we have to do things differently than how some of the people who are on the internet are saying to do things. And I have opinions about it. So let's talk about the mistakes that service providers and coaches often make. Mistake number 1 is self-worth and mindset. Mindset, when I started working on my own mindset in 2019, that was the first year I thought maybe this isn't baloney. Like I thought mindset, I'm like, oh yeah, mindset, whatever. I always just thought, let me just learn the strategy, do the thing, make some money. And 2019 was the first year where I really learned that mindset was an issue for me. And then when I addressed it, I had big results. I had as high as like a 60K month. That was the year that I had my highest income month was in 2020. Anyway, all that to say, mindset, huge problem with most entrepreneurs. In regards to confidence, low self-worth influences your confidence, and that affects your ability to communicate and engage with people. And communicating and engaging with people well is pretty important for sales. It also causes you to undervalue. So it undervalues your services, the results, undercharging, overworking, affecting your profitability and work-life balance. Another one that's huge that self-worth impacts is boundaries. This is like more true for service providers than any other niche. So, I mean, coaches also have to deal a lot with boundaries and communication, making sure that's all clear. But service providers, there's this mentality with clients where that doesn't exist with other offers. In the service world, when you are doing services for someone, and people don't mean to do this, but they feel like they own a part of you. And that's not true. If I'm a coach, I've never had a client who kind of felt like they owned me. But with services, there is this, like, for lack of a better word, entitlement from the client to the service provider. So you have to have really strong energetic boundaries, emotional boundaries, self-care boundaries. And it's not the client's responsibility to uphold those boundaries. It's your responsibility. It's not their fault, but you have bad boundaries. We teach people how to treat us. So all that to say, not blaming clients. Mistake number 2 is scattered offers. So just kind of seeing who's here. I know some of you already, and I know you have like a decently narrow offer. And then some people have room to work on this. So if you have too many offers and they're too scattered, it leads to confusion. And it leads to confusion for you, but more importantly for other people, because part of your brand is kind of trying to be about the same thing loosely. So I talk about marketing and I talk about mindset. Those two things can be a little disjointed, but what makes it work as a brand is that I do that all the time. And I also am a coach and I also blog, but I do those two things all the time. Um, so you can be multi-passionate and have more than one offer if you're consistent in that marketing. If you have scattered offers, you have less impact. It dilutes your own focus if you're doing too many things, and it makes it harder to establish you as a trusted authority. So my primary focus that I've kind of landed on after 8 months of like mostly focusing on services is long form content. I will still do social media for clients, but I don't specialize in short form video content. There's things that I want to specialize in, and that makes it easier for people to grasp what I do. It makes it easier to say yes and no to things. And last of all, I'm spending so much time on this, I need to like speed up already. And then consistency. So your results are going to be inconsistent if you don't have a consistent pool of people to pull from. Aeoliana, I'm so glad this sounds helpful. I always get tripped up on your beautiful, elegant, multiple syllables in the front of your name. But I love it so much. Mistake number 3 is no delegation. So often people become overwhelmed with the amount of work on your plate, and this can lead to decreased productivity and quality. I understand how hard it is to delegate because, especially early on, you're like, well, I want that money. Like, I could hire somebody and pay them a few $100s a month, but like, I want that a few $100s a month. But if you don't do this, you're going to burn out, you're going to feel overwhelmed, and you're going to stunt your growth. So I have found that if I hire just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit before I'm ready, like in the past, I've overhired like way before I was ready and then I had to backtrack. But now I hire just a teeny tiny bit before I think I'm ready. And then I have capacity. So I had 2 contractors when I didn't think I was like quite ready to have 2 contractors. But then one of them got really busy. I had another one to give the work to. I didn't have to slow down or say no to anybody. That was pretty cool. So now let's talk about the actual framework. And I'm loving everything you guys are saying in the chat. So just like some of what you guys want to learn today, pricing strategy we can talk about. We can also have Q&A at the end too, Claire. Excited to learn more about what you do outside of the different projects we have. So Courtney, who's J&H Creative Consulting in the chat, she is a fractional CMO and COO. And so we have this cool relationship where like I get to like do the things that are in my favorite zone of genius, which is like implementation and long form content. And she's my manager. So we've traded some referrals back and forth, and I've done some CMO work too, but I really like the doing part is really where my favorite things are. Natasha wants to fill and scale her business. I'm glad that the marketing hit the target. Vernon wants to learn actionable strategies to elevate his revenue streams. That part got my attention. Love it. Very cool. And Kayla is just an Allison fan. Kayla, I love you. Kayla is like, it makes me so happy seeing people on trainings who have been like on trainings for 5 years, since 2019. So let's jump into this framework. And any questions you have or like these things you want out of the training, if I'm not addressing them directly enough, we can do more coaching on this call. Okay, so I have these like examples of people. So May has a marketing agency. Matilda is a virtual assistant. Maria is a business coach. My text is getting cut off by some instructions I have on my screen. And Min is a website designer. I think I left one of these off. I might have all 4, but these are kind of 4 examples we'll be going through because I feel like this is common in my world. Like a lot of you are probably, most of you or all of you are B2B. And so we're going to be kind of focusing on that. And actually maybe comment in the chat what you actually do. Like I know, I would say like at least 5 or 6 of you, I know what you're doing, but what's your business you're growing, like your focus right now? And you can just be as generic as virtual assistant, or maybe you know more specifically. So pillar number 1 is improved revenue. And you're like, yeah, I do want that. What does that mean? And this to me involves 3 main parts. And this is in the Sage Services course in detail. So there's mindset, margin, and marketing. So if we want to make more money, we have to focus on mindset, margin, and marketing. So let's look at those things a little bit more. So Matilda is a virtual assistant and she's broke AF. She's afraid to tell people her pricing. She will do just about anyone to do anything. Sorry, not anyone. That's a different training entirely. She'll do anything for anyone just to get some kind of writing. She has had a client or two, but she can't repeat it, or she feels like she can't. And I've served people like this in Sage Services where they're like, they've got a little thing coming in over here and over there, but the fix for this is to restore your confidence without too much ego, because we're service providers, we can't have an ego. No, I'm just kidding. You can't have an ego. Your pricing, packaging, and niche. Your pricing, packaging, and niche to raise perceived value while raising your price. So you can't you can raise your pricing, but if you can package things in a way to raise the perceived value while raising the price, then people won't be so focused on the price. And you can focus on perceived value by delivering results, by being more specific, right? So if I say like I'm do blogging and SEO services, that's one thing. But if I say, I felt like there's something elevated about saying I'm a long form evergreen content expert. And that's what we can do, books, and we can do blogging, but it's that long form evergreen, it will work for you forever type content. That's what I specialize in. I feel like that has a higher perceived value than like just blog services in general. And then lastly is for the fix is consistent watering holes through aligned and diverse marketing. So there's a lot we can say about all of these things. And again, I go into detail on all this in the Sage Services course, but on consistent watering holes, let me see what the next slide says, because I think I want to expand on this. Okay, so on consistent watering holes through aligned and diverse marketing. Let me just talk about that for a second. So a watering hole is a place where you know that you can get clients. And so that is if you want to have consistent sales. So when we talk about marketing, where we talk about making more money, right? Increased revenue is the bucket we're talking about. Well, we have to be able to market consistently. And in order to market consistently, we have to know where our watering holes are. What are the places we can go to get clients? So I haven't done a lot of marketing for my services. I posted in November, and I posted another post recently just kind of showing some results, and I posted a services page, but there's a lot of watering holes I have that I haven't really tapped into very much. I haven't tapped into LinkedIn. And I did make one post on LinkedIn. That's where I got my biggest client from. I have an email list of 9,600 people on my email list, and I've never once sent them an email about my services. That would be interesting. I need a business coach who can tell me how to market. No. I'm going to tap into these watering holes when I'm like ready for the next stage of growth. But I have watering holes. You may not have an email list. I also have a Facebook group I could leverage. So you need to find where you can go. And the other thing that's when I say diverse and aligned, you need probably like one or two watering holes at least, and also has to be aligned with your personality. So in Sage Services, I talk about 3 different marketing archetypes. There's the salesperson, the maven, and the connector. And me even just saying those 3 words, you might even have an idea on which one you are. Are you a teacher? Are you really direct and into direct outreach? Or do you like to network? And then you can choose watering holes based on that. So if you're an educator or a maven, you might want to focus really heavily on blogging to get clients, or focus on like webinars or other long form content. If you're a connector, you're going to want to focus on events. Like a watering hole would be, I'm going to do like every professional networking event I can do on Meetup in my area. That's a really good, consistent, diverse watering hole. So I won't linger there, but I feel like that bullet was a lot to unpack. And I want to make sure you get actual value on this training and that I'm not just selling something. So an example of this, so these are based on real people, but there's, I'm not giving away like specific details for that would be identifying. So one example is Matilda. It was a fake name. She narrowed on a set of skills that related to each other. And she ended up going from a general content manager, like social media, blogging, websites, like funnels to just working on Facebook ads and Google ads. She tripled her revenue in 3 months. And then, because we created such good systems in her business, she got a full time job that was paying her more than she was paying herself. And she was able to take that full time job and then still keep her agency, but basically not have to do anything in the agency. So she like double and tripled her income. Um, her story is pretty cool. So pillar number 2 is streamlined balance. Okay, great. We've got money in the door. We're making money. Yay. But some of you who have made a lot of money know that money is not the end all be all, and that life can be pretty horrible even if you're making good money. Raise your hand if you know that feeling. I'm looking at you, college money tips. No, just kidding. Melissa is someone who has made a lot of money, but also like I feel like you reached that threshold multiple times on like working too much. And the problem with working too much and like reaching, if you're not working on the streamlined balance, is that you can force your success. You can. You can absolutely force your success until you can't. Because some of us can do that for our whole lives. And some of us, our nervous systems will get dysregulated. We will burn out. So if we could all force our success forever, we probably would. If I didn't have to work on my nervous system, I would have just kept doing what I was doing. I literally thought energetics and manifesting were total baloney. Like you can until you can't. And when I ran out of money and I ran out of energy and I ran out of ideas and I ran out of masterminds I could buy into, then I was like, gosh darn it, I guess I'll work on energetics. And that worked. And it was much more sustainable than what I was doing before. So we can work on streamline balance through operations, project management, and boundaries. One thing I don't mention on the sales page for Sage Services, I have a $200 course called Boundaries Bliss that you get inside of Sage Services, along with a bunch of other stuff that I should put out on the sales page, because you also get the minimalist marketing plan and you also get part of the small audience sales system, not all of it, part of it. Anyway, May owns a marketing agency. She works all the time. Every message feels urgent. Like every time she sees a text message and an email, she feels like she's got to respond right away. She's missing important deadlines or client expectations, and she's got endless revisions, micromanagement, text messages. So May built this package for this client thinking this is going to take me roughly X amount of hours. And now she's delivering it and it's just snowballing out of scope and she doesn't know how to stop it. Can anyone relate to that? I can. The fix for this is the sexiest thing in the world, procedures, and then documenting them for yourself, for your team, and for your clients. So one thing I've learned is like, I think, I'm so fast, I'm so efficient, I'm really great at this. I just like can onboard a client and get started right away. And realistically, I need an onboarding period. Realistically, going as fast as possible isn't always the most efficient thing to do. Another fix, and this is a suggestion that I have based on like being a CMO for multiple people, is I use tools that the clients own and are empowered in. So I do have my own project management tools, but I also like if a client uses a tool, I will manage myself in their tool because they have to own it, right? Like the client has to own the business. And then show love to your clients by loving yourself first. So boundaries only work if you can control them. So for example, like, it's easy to talk about relationships because relationships are more neutral than work in this context. And so if I have a boundary that says, don't call me after 9, that's a bad boundary because it relies on somebody else's action. A better boundary is I turn off notifications after 9. One of my clients, I decided like a lot of things they do, they think it's urgent. And remember, we're in marketing. We're not brain surgeons. No one's going to die. So things can feel urgent. And there are things that are more urgent than others. Like if you're running ads and a website goes totally down, like that's really scary, needs to be fixed fast. But, typos, no one's going to die. Like not great, but no one's going to die. All that to say, with one of my clients, I ended up taking the email off of my phone, and it's been just wonderful because these, our clients pay us hourly. They pay us for a project. They don't own us. They don't own our time. And I want to be generous and accommodating, and we're not brain surgeons. And so here's an example of what this looks like as a result. May started taking projects with required minimum retainers. So we're not doing $100 a month for Sally anymore. Our minimum retainer is $500 a month or whatever you want it to be. She introduced a detailed onboarding process. So we're not going to race anymore. We're going to try to get it all right the first time. And then she created specific working hours and explicit ways to communicate. And that resulted in more productivity and more time freedom. So I check my emails once a day or twice a day. And then for this client that I have a totally separate email for, I make sure to check it usually once a day. They would like me to check it once more, but I don't have anything else to say about that. I'm like, but no, that's it. So pillar number 3, this is the last one, is long-term growth. Okay, so we've made some money. Now we're enjoying our life a little bit more again. How can we make sure to sustain this? And this involves team hiring, team management, and client satisfaction. So Min is a website developer, and she is stuck AF. So she maxed out for hours worked, but she's not meeting her income goals. So she's working 40 hours a week or 30 hours a week or whatever she can manage with her 3 kids, and she's still not making the money she wants to make. How can she resolve that? She's afraid to hire because she wants to make sure she can keep the money that's coming in. Like, what if she loses a client and then she has to fire everyone? So she needs to learn when to hire, who to hire, how to hire, while still paying herself well. And she also has a client roller coaster where there's people who, they'll join on for $2,000 and then they'll just be there for 1 month, and then she's got to fill that giant gap again. And the fix for this is, first, manage your margins and hire your biggest bottleneck. So if you're doing packages, that's totally fine. You don't have to have an hourly rate, but you have to know how many hours you're spending on something so that you know what you can afford to hire for. So if you're charging $40 an hour, you probably don't want to hire someone that's charging any more than $20 an hour. Otherwise, your margin starts to get really small. And that's okay. You can be charging $40 an hour and decide to get really skilled Philippine virtual assistants for $9 an hour. That's a great pay. That's probably on the higher end. There might be some that charge more. There's some that charge, like Doer's Way. I think you'll pay them $12 an hour. They paid their virtual assistants $3 an hour. So that is way too low, even in other countries like the Philippines, for example. So if you're charging $40 an hour, you can still have margin. You can also raise your price if you want to. Then hire your biggest bottleneck first. So mine was content creation. Actually, the first was more like operations admin, the stuff that I hate doing, and then organizing and hosting bundles. I hired an admin for that first. Then my next hire was content creation. And then hire slow, fire fast. So I have a whole hiring training in Sage Services, but like you want to have a multiple phase approach when you're hiring people. And I always don't make people work for free, but I would pay them for a test project as a part of the interview process. I pay them a modest amount, not what they'd be making in the job, $10 an hour or $15 an hour, just so that they're not working for free in the interview process. In the interview process, I also don't give them work I'm actually using. I give them all the same assignment of a project that's already complete. We can go over more details on that. And then lastly, get client feedback, anticipate their needs, track their results. Because if you do a good job, if clients trust you, if you get results, then they'll keep utilizing you. That's the easiest way to keep a client. One example of this, Min tracked her time for 2 weeks and she found the biggest bottleneck. She hired a virtual assistant at a rate that was below her personal hourly rate, and she was able to add new clients while adding a new revenue stream. This is my client, friend and colleague who is a male, which is why we have a female picture and a male name, because I was thinking about an actual person. So the big question is, how can you apply this framework to your own business and tap into the power of... That's a typo in this slide. That's funny because this typo must have also been here in March or April, because we're not talking about blogging, but this comes from a previous masterclass that I did. So option number 1 is to do it alone. You can go back to doing what you were doing before. You can go back to being stuck and not having support, or you can leverage a guide. You can say, I've had enough. I want the shortcut. I need to talk to someone who has opinions. And that's what I would encourage you to do. Although I think this training has given you enough information to be dangerous. So what is the easier, faster way in my biased opinion? Mentorship from someone who has a proven roadmap. Who could that be? Constantly on the cutting edge. I'm doing it myself. I'm helping other people. And here's what I want to help you with. Oh, and this payment plan starts at 167. So I'm pitching you here, but I want to come back and answer questions. So don't leave yet. So I want to help you improve your revenue. We're going to go over mindset in detail, specifically for service providers and coaches. Then we're going to go over margin. So I have a ton of information on messaging, on increasing profit margin, on consistent client acquisition, on finding your aligned watering holes. Then we're going to work on balance. So we'll work on through some of your operations in your business, which honestly, I expected this to be something that people needed a lot of help with. This was the area people needed the least help with, which makes sense, right? Like we're already helping other people with their own operations. The boundaries and pricing and marketing and margins were like the really big ones for clients in the first round of this program. I also want to help you with long-term growth, like who you're hiring, how much you're hiring them for, client satisfaction, managing your team. And this is what I have inside of Sage Services. So I have this link I'm just going to put in the chat. And I have a bunch of bonuses that I need to put dates on them. So I'll email out with the replay, like what the expiration dates are. But there's a bunch of bonuses that expire. So going through, the price is $666 right now. It's going to go up to $1497. But it's going to go up slowly over the next couple of weeks. You can start for as low as $167. And the fast action bonuses, there's a bunch, but the most notable and the most popular one, well, big discount here. The one-on-one call was like one of the most valuable things we did. And then because of that, I'm also adding 6 live calls to this program. So you can go to that sales page and see all the dates. I'm also giving you the Holistic Art of Attraction course, which is $333 value. This is like my gigantic manifesting course that is really well tied into the book if you have my Embodied Abundance book. So new is the 6 live calls. Here is the link again, Sage Services. That is in the chat. The one-on-one call will expire, I think, in 7 days. I'm sorry I don't have those dates. But you can start as low as $167 with the payment plan. So I want to go back to, like, I have some other like slides here, like who is this for, what's included, what results will you get. So I will go back and answer those if you're curious. But right now, I'm going to just go back to the chat. So can I do like this? Look, I made it tiny and I'm big. So we can share space with the slides. So let me go back and look at your comments. Okay, so taking a look at who you guys are, creativity coach. What's your name? Follow your curiosity. Do I know you? Or are you new? Some of you guys I know, like the brand names like J&H but if I know you, I would love to know your name. Holistic leadership, ghostwriter and college coach, bookkeeper. Yeah, so you are all mostly service providers, some coaches. Okay, so one question from Courtney, J&H Creative Consulting. Tips on how to create the email marketing waterhole strategically. $9,600 is huge to start when you tap in. $9,600 did take me a while. So I have a $9 course called the Audience Accelerator. And that course is how I got my email list from 4,000 subscribers to 8,000 in a year. So it took me from 2019 to 2023 to get my email list to be about 4,000. And that's running ads periodically. That's doing some summits, doing some bundles here and there. And then when I looked at where my audience was really coming from, that's when I made the Audience Accelerator course. And I doubled my email list that year to 8,000. And then this year it's been slower because a lot of the ways I was using to grow my email list, I'm kind of dipping into the same watering holes a lot. So I'm up to 9,600 and I'm hoping to be over 12,000 by the end of the year. But we'll see what happens. I also want new ways to grow my email list. Learning that the onboarding period takes longer than expected was a learning curve for me at the start. Yeah, I just thought I'm so fast. I'll just like jump right in. But I think what was happening was I wasn't giving myself time and space to process. And if I don't have enough clarity, I'll procrastinate. I know you, Nancy. Hello, Nancy. Do I have experience with the doer's way? A little bit, not really. So I was like Grace, what's her last name? That founded that. Grace. So I was a prospect for like a 2000-ish dollar program back in 2017. And I went through that and I just knew that wasn't going to be the right program for me. So I didn't do it. It was like a funnel building day, but I was already pretty techie by that point. I spun a lot of circles, just like buying from people over and over again, trying to figure things out that I feel like I already knew. And so I'm very familiar with Grace and her ecosystem. And I had a client who did the doer's way, like who did their whole like virtual assistant program. Um, and I have opinions. So if you have specific questions about it, like overall, I wouldn't recommend it for various reasons. Um, but if you have more specific questions, we can talk about why, and I can give you feedback. I just have worked with a lot of people. I've bought a lot of programs and I've helped people who've bought a lot of programs. So there's a lot of programs I haven't bought but I worked with somebody after they bought it. So then I got like some inside scoops on where it was really valuable and where the dots were really not connecting. So another super popular program is B School by Marie Forleo. Really great foundational program for teaching, but there's a lot of dots missing to actually like taking action. So I've had a bunch of people work with me who did that, got some clarity, and then didn't know what to do with that clarity. Audience Accelerator is so good. I go back to it every few months. That is my one course that consistently sells. This $9 course. It consistently sells without me promoting it, or like obviously for $9 I'm not going to put it on sale, but I get random popcorn sales from that all the time from people who like hear about it, or somebody will post a result in the Mindful Marketing Mavens group, and I'll post that in the chat too. Yogi Lachi says, I'm in. I do need some help. Which was the bonus or call you said expires this week? I need to specify the dates. I'm a bad marketer. So the early bird pricing is going to increase in 5 days. So the 666 is going to increase in at the end of the 31st, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So end of July, the price is going to go up. Then the one-on-one call will expire in like another few days after that. So I'll list all those dates above the fold on this page. Actually, I should be able to share with you my screen that I'm looking at. There we go. So yeah, you can see this. So on this page here, I will put like somewhere up here, up high, what all the expiration dates are. Right now, the first one to worry about is that the price is going to go up. So 2 things to know about the price, which is all the way down here, are that this is discounted. So I probably won't get all the way up to $14.97 this launch. I might, but I'll probably go up to like $9.99 or $1,100 or something. Also, when I increase the price, like this is an extended payment plan because this is only a 12-week program. There are 6 calls in 12 weeks. So I may make this to 3 months, which is going to make this a little bit higher, but this is what felt really good in my nervous system. I was originally going to launch this course for $1,500, but I just want it to be like easy. It feels easier in my nervous system. Is Audience Accelerator inside this course? Let's see. I'm going to actually log into the course, because what happened was as I was making the course, I was like, I feel like they really need this. So then I added in a few courses. Actually, I can share this with you too. Where can I do this? Okay, I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm going to share this tab and then, okay, so this is my Thrivecart Learn, and let me make this bigger for you. Okay, so we'll just log in to Sage Service. I'm just going to preview this and you can see like what's actually in here. So we have the welcome video and then we have mindset, and the mindset section, we've got like a bunch of extra stuff in there. And then margin, which I feel like I'm probably re-recorded some of the margin stuff. The marketing is huge. And I added the minimalist marketing plan training in here, and then messaging. You asked about audience accelerator. So I would guess, yeah, the audience accelerator is not included in this. But the minimalist marketing plan, which is $27, is included in this. I also included this training on boundaries, but I also gave you guys that course as a bonus on the back end. And then we have a Q&A call. We had a second, oh yeah, we couldn't, I couldn't share the Q&A call because one of the clients um, was talking about one of her clients, and her client was famous. So she was like, oh, I kind of like don't want that in the course because it could violate NDA stuff. So the previous live calls I did, which I never like, I did a bunch of those calls live and didn't market it. So I promoted that I would have 2 live calls. I ended up having like 6 or 8 live calls. So all the teachings in there were live. Anyway, this is boring. So what other questions you guys have about your own business? So then going back to like the questions you guys had at the beginning on pricing strategy, Claire, if there's anything specific, I will say like overall for pricing, for me, it was easier to start hourly and then move into packages. And then there are some of, I still basically operate everything hourly. I did an intensive with someone who, she was a fractional CMO who had 3 clients, and each of those retainers was $7,500 a month. And that's obviously a very abundant amount of money to have every single month. She was averaging 10 to 20 hours a week for those clients. But if more than one of them was launching in the same week, she could have a 40 to 60-hour week. So retainers can be great because they can be like really abundant and have a lot of margin. But for me, I just prefer to loosely operate with hourly rates in mind and then charge accordingly. So that's where I start, Claire, but I'm curious if you have a specific question. Yeah, so Natasha, we covered a lot like filling and scaling today. A lot of that is another thing I talk about in the program that I didn't talk about today is hunting versus gardening. So like earlier on in your business, before you have an audience, you are really having to do more hunting. You're going after, you're seeking, you're initiating conversations, and that initiation may not be aligned for you, but it's really helpful to get sales in the short term. And then gardening strategies are like, blogging, building an email list, working on social. Those are things that you may not see immediate results on, but will get you results as you keep going. And you have to do both. But some of us are more aligned with hunting. Some of us are more aligned with gardening. But ideally, you do both because then you can make money in the short term and the long term. Learn actionable strategies to elevate your revenue streams. So Vernon, I'm curious if you have any more specifics you want to give me on that. So Vernon said, did you get the biggest bump from paid ads, or were there other marketing strategies that made the difference? So for me, when I launched, so I've been coaching since 2017, and in 2019, I dropped all the services I was doing and just went all in on coaching. So all the time that I've been coaching, I've been slowly building an audience through, like, I get probably 3 new leads a day just from my blog. So from organic blog traffic, I'm getting about 100 new email subscribers a month. I also do, my biggest income bump was not from paid ads. So I used to run paid ads all the time, and I haven't run paid ads consistently since about 2021. I've done them on and off, but just being really real with you, I have I think some unresolved trauma from ads, because every time I turn on a Facebook ad, I can stay relaxed about it for about 2 days. And then it's like, Facebook ads are not immediate results anymore. And if you don't have money to light on fire, then I would not recommend Facebook ads. So my biggest results in my audience growth has been collaborations. My biggest growth in my income was adding services. And then I just made, I think, 2 posts in 30 days on Facebook, my Facebook personal profile, in my Facebook group. I think I just did my personal profile, Instagram, and then LinkedIn. And then I maybe shared one of those to my Facebook group, but it was the same post. And it said, "Hey guys, I'm looking to start doing services." And I was really specific. I said, "This is more than a virtual assistant because X, Y, and Z. And this is different than operations because X, Y, and Z." And I was looking to be an integrator. Through doing integrator work, I figured out that I could only do that for one or two people at a time. Um, and then I was like out of mental capacity. Whereas I can do that for one or two people, and then services, I can do it myself. I can manage a team. Like I had multiple ways of getting that done. The integrator had to all be me. So I decided to scale with the services after filling the integrator offer. Um, Claire says, more that I'm a new coach and trying to figure out how to price. So, Claire, I've talked a lot to Melissa from College Money Tips in the chat here about this. And pricing as a coach, or even in services, but I think even more so as a coach, is really subjective. So, like, there will be some people that tell you to just go all in on high ticket coaching right away. If that feels aligned for you, if you're confident about your results, then go for it. High ticket like costs mean that people are committed, mean that you get paid well, and you can like really hold space for people. So, like, go all in. But my general advice is to charge enough that makes it feel worth it and makes it easy for you to say out loud. So, like, um, and that's my strategy, like with this pricing this program is like $14.97. Do I think 6 live calls is worth, and like a one-on-one call is worth $1,500? I think yes. I think I've bought things like that before that had really good value. I think that's not enough money for most people to like totally, you know, um, freak out. I was like I was like, I pooped their pants is what I was thinking. Like, can I say something better than that, Allison? Can you think of something better than that? So, like, what is an amount of money? Like $1,500? Do I think it's worth it? Yes. Was that like easy for me to sell? I don't know. $666 felt like, I don't know, that feels easy. Based on the results that I got, I can do 6 calls for $666. Like, I'm gonna do that. That feels fun. It feels good in my nervous system. So, all that to say, Claire, it is subjective. And you have to go, like, if you're charging $25 an hour for coaching, that's way too low. I would say minimum for coaching is $60 an hour. Because I'm like, that's like what it would cost with insurance for therapy or like to get a massage. So I think that's like absolute minimum. And then I think you go up from there. Another rule of thumb with pricing is that the more people buy, the less cost you can do per hour. So I wouldn't charge $60 for one call, generally speaking, for coaching. I would say one call is $200. But if you do 2 calls a month for 3 months, then each call is only $150. I think that's a really good base price. So those are my 2 rules. Are like, make sure it feels good to your nervous system, charge enough to feel worth it, because if you feel resentful and salty about it, it's not going to be good for either of you. And then one call is always more expensive than multiple calls. So if somebody buys from me 1 month, that's more expensive than saying we're going to do 2 calls a month, month to month with a 30-day cancellation, which I've been loving that. I don't see many coaches do that. Like, everyone's like, it's a 3-month container, a 6-month container, a 5 million year retainer, and you're in this program for the rest of your life. But I've been doing just like month to month. This is just for a few people if I feel like they can really do this, because some people need specific help. But I've done this for like 2 or 3 people recently where it was just 2 calls a month, month to month, and you have a 30-day cancellation so that they don't message me the day before their charge date and say like, I'm done coaching. Well, I'm not done holding space for you. So we need time to like get out of this container. I had someone tell me today that I should charge more and offer less. Charge more, offer less. I was not okay with that. Yeah, you can trust yourself. Especially if you're happy doing what you're doing, you can trust yourself. And I'm also have questions and I'm curious, like, because that could be true for some people. Like, it was definitely true for the person I helped who went from having a bunch of offers to doing Facebook ads. That was definitely a case where She was initially offering Facebook ads for a pretty low price, but she was doing graphic design. She was building landing pages and sales pages. She was building email marketing campaigns. She was doing market research for people. And I'm like, you cannot do all of that for $250 a month. No wonder why, like, you're really busy and you're not making any money. So you can trust yourself on that. What other questions do you guys have? So, Sage Services, this program is open, and the call schedule is on the sales page. So, if I go somewhere, I have the dates on this page. It's in the FAQ. So, you might be wondering. So, we start August 9th. So, you've got some time. I've got some time. The course content is created. I'm going to be adding some more. I want to re-record the margin module. I also didn't end up doing very much with operations because nobody really needed help with operations, but I did add a bunch of other content. So that could happen, especially like the live calls are great for me because when I talk to you, like I get a lot more intuition than if I'm just like speaking into the void. That's why, even though for this course I promoted that I was going to have 2 live calls, I ended up having like 6 or 8 live calls because then I had something to feed off of, like energetically to teach, not feed off of, but be inspired by. Any other questions? Oh, somebody already bought it. Thank you very much. Very cool. I should have had a bonus. This is what they tell you in bro marketer schools. I should have had a bonus for you guys to buy like right now. That's what I would do. If I was a true bro marketer, I would make you buy right now for a bonus, but you have 5 days. So any other questions? Thank you guys so much for the interaction. That makes it really fun for me when you talk to me. Yeah, the audience accelerator is not inside this course. It is only $9 though. And it's easy to find on my website, or you can message me. And I think it's like, I'm biased, but I think it's like really, I mean, it's $9. It's like very, very well spent. The bro marketer term, Vernon, I know it doesn't sound gender neutral, but it's kind of a joke for like the guys that go on, Facebook and brag about results, and some of them seem really disingenuous. So that was a term that was kind of invented in like, I think the first time I heard it was in 2018, 2019. So when I use the term bro marketer, what I'm referring to is these guys who oversell, not guys, it's ladies too. And in fact, one of the teachers I mentioned might be one of those. Grace is probably what I would consider a bro marketer, to be honest with you. Maybe not anymore. Um, but there are people who oversell, underdeliver, and they teach a very specific, it's like they bully you. So like, I feel like I'm calling a bro marketer as a bully. And I feel like women are also bro marketers. And when I first heard the term bro marketer, I was like, well, women do this too. But I use that as a joke. So I'm sorry if I won't use it again if it's troubling. Pandemic gurus. That's the gender neutral term we can use for bro marketers. Except for pandemic gurus have been around since before the pandemic. That's hilarious. I hadn't heard that before. Yes. Yeah, we're all recovering from trauma from pandemic gurus. You're like me, you'd like to sleep at night. Yes. Andrea asks, is that what is called fast action takers bonus? So the every bonus on the page is a fast action bonus. So we have the one-on-one call, the pricing, boundaries bliss. I think that's us in the pricing section. Oh, holistic art of attraction and the minimalist marketing plan. Actually, this is just inside the course, so I can take this off as a bonus. But all these are bonuses. And what I will do, Andrea, is I'll put the dates at the top for all of these that are going to expire. Right now, the only thing I'm telling you that's going to expire is the first of the lowest prices. I realize that is very unclear, and I will add that to this page. Cool. Any other questions? Yeah. So, okay, I see what you're saying, Yogi Lachi. What's your name, Yogi Lachi? So I know for next time. Yeah, I would say, like, you probably wanna loosely understand your messaging before you do the Audience Accelerator course, if that's what you're asking. The, Minimalist Marketing Plan course, Stefana, is inside Sage Services, and this is all on the page. So, like, um, if you look at the bonuses, I'll gonna put the expiration dates for them. This one doesn't expire, but these are all, like, inside, they're all included. So, this is already like inside the course. All of you will get it, whether you meet the deadline or not. The Holistic Art of Attraction, Boundaries Bliss, the one-on-one call, those will all expire at different points. And the Audience Accelerator is not in here. The Audience Accelerator is like growing your list. And so, like you could, yeah, there's no urgency because the price doesn't change. It's just $9 forever. So I would probably focus on one thing at a time. Let's fix your messaging inside of Sage Services, and then um, Audience Accelerator will always be there. It's not going anywhere. Any other questions? Great call. Thank you guys. I'm excited, Stefana, that you're in the program, and hopefully some of you guys, as other guys, join too. I will see you all very soon. I'm going to go ahead and end this. We are a little over time, but we had a ton of great questions and interaction at the end, so hopefully it's helpful. Have a good night. And if you have any questions about the program, you can message me on Voxer. I have my Voxer link on the sales page. You can message me on Facebook. I wouldn't message me on LinkedIn or my Facebook page because those get spammed too much, but anywhere else is fine. So, okay, have a good night. Goodbye.